I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
We're the Ragamuffins.
And we've just had a chat with Larry and Joe from Shields.
We've talked about all the plans for 2024 New Music Takedown Festival.
And Adam Levine, who's in the room.
So we're here with Joe and Larry from Shields. How are you doing, boys?
Very well, thank you. Great
Excellent.
to see you.
Excellente.
So we're going to go through your perfect gigs today. We're going to pit you against each other a little bit and see how it goes. But kind of to start off the process with it, what was the first ever gigs you went to?
I don't know. My parents took me to see a lot of music when I was a kid, so I'll say the first gig I voluntarily went
Yeah.
to, which me, Sam, and myself went to see Bowling with Soup when we were like 13 years old at Brixton Academy.
Oh, wow.
That's a cracking first one.
Yeah. So my mum came with us because we were too young to go on our own. She saw it was 16 plus, and she was like, "Well, I definitely must, and it must be seating." And of course, we wanted to go in the pit because we'd been buying Kerrang. We were seeing all of the pit stories and the crowd shots, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go and mosh and all that kind of stuff like that. So we were sat in the seating area at Brixton Academy, and my mum was like, "Oh, it's not that sold up here, so I'll sit a few seats away from you." And there was like one bit in the song that I really, really wanted to sing along to, and it's that one bit in "The Girl and the Bad Guys Want" when he's like, "All I wanted was to see her naked." And then
Good take.
Bowling for Soup in the room with us.
as I was singing that part, she was like, "Hey, Lola, do you want some Coca-Cola or something like that?" And I was like, "No, Mum, I'm talking about naked ladies over here."
How about you, Larry?
Okay, so I went to see. It's gonna make me sound really old because I am old. I went to see the Wild Hearts, but only because their support band was a band called Amen, who this American punk band. If you haven't heard of them, you should definitely check them out. They're so heavy and offensive and aggressive. Um, and we thought the entire room would be a mosh pit. Like before we went in, we were tightening up all our shoes, putting on I deliberately took trousers that had zips on my pockets because I was convinced I'd lose my wallet and stuff like that.
It's always good to be prepared and take
Yeah, man,
precautions.
I was ready for a fight basically at 14, about 14 again, actually. Yeah. It's good fun. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Amen, man, oh my God, they're such a good band. They were such a good band. And that's why we went. And it's weird because it's very much a young person's band to go and watch. But then you had like the much older audience. I don't know how they were on that tour even because it was such a divide. There's like 50-year-old men in there with a bunch of like 14-year-olds beating the shit out of each other. Like it was crazy.
To be fair, 14 years old and just being ready for the pit. I respect
man.
that.
I was in there straight away. Yeah.
My guy knows how to mosh.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I do want to bring back to Joe for a second. Do we get to hear your first involuntarily gig that you went to?
Oh, I don't know because
You don't remember?
taking me to stuff like I don't know, it's folk gigs and classical music and musicals and stuff like that. So like it's a blur like a blurral mural of memories of like going to folk gigs at the Roundhouse. I saw Richard Thompson. We were quite good friends, like family friends with the band called Pentangle, who were like a folk revival from the 60s.
Yeah.
Around that era when folk was big again. So I saw them a few times when I was quite young and sat in their practices. So it's just in and around creativity and music.
Kind of nice to grow up with that and just see live music, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. My mum's an art teacher, so it was very much like an important thing for her, for us, me and my sister and my siblings, to see art of all kind of forms.
But from going from your first gigs to your very own gigs, what are your first bands on your own curated lineups?
Who's opening the show?
I'm gonna do a nice, I don't know, what is it? I'm gonna do a nice kind of small sized band that I love. As everything unfolds, not small, but compared to like the bands that I'm putting on the headline and stuff like that, like a good opener who deserves to be on an opening set of like a sick 4-band lineup on a big stage. Yeah.
Love it. Like, where did you first come across them? How did you kind of find their music?
Well, we have definitely known about them for ages because they're just in and amongst the same group of bands as us and scenes, and they've now just like exploded into like a much like bigger trajectory than we ever have been. And I've not really known them that well until their latest album came out last year, and then I was like, this band are serious. They know what they're doing. And so yeah,
We're seeing them, I think, next week actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
yeah.
excited for that.
Got a really great headline tour coming up. They're playing at some venues that I really want to play at, like the Cluny in Newcastle. I lived in Newcastle for a little while, and although it's only like a 200 cap venue, it's just such a cushy little venue in there. It's nice atmosphere. You always get a good crowd.
Sweet.
That tour's starting to sell out, I've noticed as well, which is really nice to see. Beautiful to see.
Right then, Larry, who's your opening act?
Okay, so this is Joe looks really good with that because it's very, very nice to. I'm gonna look bad. I'm picking a really old band. I've picked Alkaline Trio. I don't know if anyone knows
Nice.
who they are. I might again. I'm showing my age again. I just think they're the ultimate punk songwriters. Like they're just so good, and they can do everything. They can do loud and noisy and screamy, and they can do very chill and like somber songs as well. They've got like a whole load of acoustic albums as well that they re-released recently every single album they've ever done live. Like they just played the entire set of their whole album, but for all their albums, and it's amazing. They just give a lot to their fans because that's what people like to hear. I think you don't get that very often.
No.
You say they're quite a diverse band in terms of sound. Would you have like a preference for the set? Would you prefer it to be a bit more of like an acoustic-y, chilled out vibe, or would you rather them go for the heavier side of things, a bit more energy?
I would like full on noise and aggression from them. And when I say aggression, it's like very clever aggression as well. Like they're very amazing lyricists and stuff like that. Like they're just really clever dudes, I think. And yeah, I'd go for full on punk noise just to wake people up as an opener. You know, I like openers that have something to prove, and that's always what was fun in the past touring. Being an opener sometimes is that nobody knows who you are and they don't really care, and that's a nice challenge sometimes. So I think they could do that. As everything unfolds, would definitely do that, do very well. So yeah.
That chance to win people over.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of a nice thing. It's a nice bit of animosity to greet you before you played your first song.
So to bring it to yourselves, last year was a big year for you. Coming back, playing, having Bury Me come out. We talked to you a little bit about it at Burn It Down, but after having some time with the song now, being able to play it live, how has your relationship with it changed? And especially performing it live, has there been any changes to the song live structurally or how you play it a certain way?
I think the song has remained for me more or less the same in terms of like structurally and like everything that's going on. I think there's some like key moments that I always try and hit, like especially working up to the pitch scream at the end of the song, and just trying to bring the energy because it's one we open our set with every time now. We start off these days with like this jazz intro where it's like 30-second excerpt from an Ella Fitzgerald song, and then just like kick straight in with Bury Me. And for me, that like hype just completely overwhelms me, and I have to control myself from going too extra. Otherwise, that ruins the vocals, and I have to just like concentrate on it a bit. So it's a bit of like a stimulating one to start with. My relationship with it is being really healthy because it's such a throwback to what we thought Shields just kind of was, like the metalcore riffs and the Jordan guilt era style kind of like circle pit riffs. And yet still adding this new kind of flavor. Like we've really started collaborating on the way we write recently. So I think we've taken Bury Me and we've written Bury Me and it's gotten out, we've strained out the last of the old version of Shields in the way I feel about it is like that. Because the stuff we've been writing recently is almost completely different. It's definitely, I think it's got the essence of the stuff that we always write with, like the riffs and the beats we go for, but it's taken on a whole new shape and form. And I actually feel like Bury Me was a really good last hurrah of what Shields was before we broke up. And then having come away, done that after 5 years later, we've just kind of gotten out of our system and moved on to different things. So for me, Bury Me kind of stands as a testament to everything Shields was and has been up to the point where it was released. And then since then, we've just, although we've loved playing it, moved on into a completely new era. In fact, I can't wait to start talking about the stuff we've been writing in a bigger way and like showing people what it is eventually. Can't really say when that'll be, but we're just kind of hunkering down at the moment and just making sure we're writing as much as we possibly can.
So in a way, for you, your relationship with the song is kind of summarized by the lyrical content and the title itself, that you've kind of buried the old Shields and kind of moving on to kind of a new Shields, a new band kind of thing.
I guess so. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
That's actually something I hadn't thought of, to be fair. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I like
Might
it.
We
have
knew.
to steal
Well, there we
that.
go.
The other one with that song is how do you feel like the fan reaction's been to it as well, kind of to have that reception?
I think it's been really pleasant. That's the thing. It's the weird thing, as we said in like to you guys before. I think when we met you guys at Bennett Down, is like we didn't really know what the reaction was going to be to us coming back. We hoped and had a feeling it would be good, but because like Joe says, it's kind of a modern throwback to what we did. It's the thing that I've noticed the most is people had a lot of nostalgia for things, especially when we're playing like some of the older cuts in our set as well. And that's like at first you're not quite sure how to take that. Not in a bad way, but like you sort of like I've never had nostalgia thrown at me before. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and it's what you realize is that actually it's just without sounding arrogant, it's like a love for what you've done before, which is a really nice. You can't be mad at that. It's really nice, and it's I think Bury Me works perfectly for that as well because it's moved forward, but also touches back on some of the sounds that people got into us for in the first place.
It's
Well,
definitely
I
a
like an
strange thing being called a throwback band or one of the old school bands. I'm just like,
Yeah.
huh?
but like you can have that great appreciation now, and like you say, looking back at everything you've done, and then
Yeah.
kind of have that turning into how you're going to move forward with everything.
Absolutely. One of the best things about coming back is coming back with a fresh perspective and a completely blank canvas of like what you expect from people and their reactions, and just for people to come up to you and tell you what your music has meant to them, especially since being away from it for so long. It's really, really enriching. It's really humbling.
Yeah,
There's-
and it's nice knowing that we have so much more to give as well. We have so much more to give.
Yeah, there's some
We're
fuel
gonna
in this tank.
blow some lids.
That's exciting to hear.
Yeah.
That answers my next question, really. I was going to ask if kind of seeing that reaction from people and playing shows together again after so long gives you sort of the energy to kind of carry on and sort of be bigger and as good as Shields can be, I suppose.
Absolutely. Honestly, like coming back and playing these shows, there's been more people coming to see us than I ever expected there would be. Having not done anything in 5 years and not being a band that I considered particularly like successful either. I was incredibly happy with where we got to and really proud of it and have been my whole life. But to come back and see the same amount of people come to shows, I was like, holy shit! Like people are still here for us. Yeah, it's encouraging. Gives us like that extra bit of fuel in the tank, like the gas in the pedal, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, let's move back to your perfect gigs. Who are your second bands on your lineups?
Second on is Radiohead.
Nice.
Straight away.
Did not expect that.
But the
But-
stage, right, is struck and put in the middle of the room. And it's only like a 2 foot like high stage, and then people can just like spectate from around them, like in the round, like a circus kind of.
Almost like Metallica way in terms of how they have their setup.
Yeah, except it's not so like untouchable. Like
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
go and just be like, "Hello, Tom York," and like, I've been wanting to do this for a while.
The kind of
We-
gig
we-
you can really get
finally
the old
meet.
guy, you know.
But it's like they just do this like super intimate, like some of the really cool electronic stuff from Moon Shaped Pool, In Rainbows, like OK Computer, like some of the best.
Everything
I love
in its right place, man.
everything in the right place. And then the lighting rig also moves across the room on an aerial transporter and sits around them, and you're just next to Radiohead while they're just fucking around with synths.
Is this just for Radiohead? Are they the only band in your lineup that's playing on that central stage?
Absolutely.
I love that you've got like a whole production thought out. Everything's like, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna have that.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, my day job is in theatre tech, so
That's right in the forefront.
secondary, yeah.
Right, go on then, Larry. Top that.
Oh man, I hate going second because yours is so grandiose, man. And I had Every Time I Die. Yeah,
Reunion.
yeah, which is just again full on noise in your face. Rest in peace, Every Time I Die.
Mhm.
I almost said Many Eyes just because I love Keith's voice, but I'm gonna go for OG. I'm assuming we can pick bands that are broken up as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's your perfect gig. You can do what you want.
Yeah, man. I just love that band, and they were so good live, and just mental, and their riffs were very mental as well. And I actually like this is completely. I don't think Sam or Joe listened to them, so I think like I can hear elements of it in our new music now, even and stuff like that, which I'm loving, which I don't think is deliberate at all. But I think they're one of those bands that surprisingly, weirdly, even though they were pretty big when they broke up, not many people seem to also know about. It's like a weird little niche
Mm.
in the metal world.
Yeah, agreed.
I actually
They-
didn't know they'd broken up either.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Sorry to break the news, Joe.
My favorite band.
How was it you first got into Every Time I Die?
I saw them live. I went to a gig when I was a teenager. Like all my friends, we used to go to at least one or two gigs every single month back when you could afford gig tickets as a teenager. And I used to go to the Wedge-drums a lot, and we went to see the band Chimera. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Yeah, and they were opening every time I die. Were opening, and they were on for all the ETID fans out here. You'll know the album Hot Damn, which is probably heralded as like their best or like their most like craziest work. They were touring that album, and they just blew my head off. And I literally went to HMV the next day and bought their album, and ever since then. So this was probably like 2004, I'm gonna say, maybe like super super long time ago. Um, yeah, and they were just amazing. Nobody rocked out as much as they did live back then with the most intricate music. Like for me, that was like just as a teenager, that's amazing to see.
Incredible. I mean, you kind of spoke there as well with going and buying out albums, and to keep with this kind of throwback with it, what were the first albums that you ever bought?
I think my first album. Okay, this is really embarrassing actually. I like to. I'm an anonymous guy. I could say something really cool, but
The best answers are the embarrassing ones.
yeah, exactly. And actually, it's probably not. Now that I'm old, I don't really care as well. But I used to buy loads of Ministry of Sound CDs. Like I got my first music I ever got into was like EDM. And yeah, I
Wow.
used to buy their compilation ones. So they used to come in really cool booklets. Like had loads of like I don't know, just the artwork was pretty cool, and yeah, like loads of like Tall Paul and Judge Jules and stuff like that. Loads of cool Fatboy Slim, loads of remixes that were on it all the time. You know, I actually have one with an original Darude Sandstorm on it before it was
Amazing.
ironic. Yeah, yeah, man. You know your EDM, you know Darude Sandstorm.
Mhm.
See, I still remember compilation albums like that being advertised on the TV.
Yeah,
Like
man.
it'd have
Oh
that
yeah,
generic advert guy voice. It's like only $9.99.
yeah, man. Woolworths all the way. It was
Yes.
Hell yeah.
that one.
How about you, Joe? First album.
No shame. Maroon 5, Songs About Jane. Amazing album. Still stands the testament of time.
What drew you to it?
I don't know. I think my friends were listening to it, and I was like, "This is cool. It's got guitars. I like his voice." And then I just chained it to death. And little did I know, Sam, we hadn't met each other yet. We were like, this is like when I was like 9, 8 years old. Sam Kubrick also bought the album around that time. And there's been many. We even listened to them in the car today, actually, like when we came back from the gym. There's been many a time when we've just put that album on, and it's a banger every single time. I can harmonize with every single lyric on the album. I know it inside out.
Are we getting a Shields cover of Maroon 5, perhaps?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know you,
that's-
you
that's-
actually want to do it as well.
That's definitive. That seems.
It is now.
How about Takedown?
Yeah, it's just a Maroon 5 cover set.
That's it. That's all. That's all we
Yeah.
want.
That's actually, and the acoustic one too.
Everybody knows all you want is tributes these days, so why not? We're just jumping on it.
Yeah, I made a lot more money being in a Black Parade.
Yeah, that's what sells tickets these days.
It is. I made a lot more money in a My Chemical Romance tribute called the Black Parade, than I ever did with Shields.
Wow.
Yeah.
To be fair, Takedown this year has a sort of a lineup. You're gonna think you're at a tribute show, but they're the real deal. So there's some pretty good for the oldies like me. Oh my God, there's some amazing bangers out there. on
Yeah,
that
you're gonna
lineup
think
this
you're
year.
watching Maroon 5.
Adam's there, like in the room. It's gonna be great.
I wish I was this good. Damn.
He'll have his top off and everything.
Any situation in life, Adam's there in the room.
You don't necessarily know he's there, but he's there.
He's watching.
Adam's there in the room.
Nice sketch. Hey, just ran through the door.
Adam.
Oh, that's
Anyway, speaking of being in the room, you guys have been in the studio. You've been teasing that you've been writing and recording some stuff. How's that coming along? And can we expect any new music anytime soon, do you think?
I don't know exactly when. I have a rough outline that I can't really talk about yet because it's not solidified. But we're not kind of constricting how much we're writing. We're literally just any idea we're exploring, any idea we think can be good, we're exploring and seeing where it goes, which is yielding some results that don't go anywhere. But when you hit the nail on the head, you've allowed yourself to get stuff wrong a few times, or at least you've allowed yourself to write stuff you're not that preferable to, so that when you finally get to something that kind of falls out of you. I like to think the good ones, the good songs, the good lyrics, the good ideas, they fall out of you. You just vomit them onto the page or into your computer. And we're kind of allowing a lot of time for that. I think that's what's so good about having your own studio is that because we have this space that's all ours, it's not shared with anyone else. It allows us to write with any boundaries, basically. So, unanswered your question that I've completely forgotten what is. We're
It's
writing
basically
new
when can
music.
we
I don't
expect
quite
new
know when it's
music,
going to be
basically?
out yet. It's all very exciting, and I think it's just some of the most interesting stuff we've been able to explore because we've had the time and space to do that.
You said about earlier on about kind of being a bit more collaborative with that. Has that kind of really helped change the sound, like you think you mentioned? Do you reckon it's the collaborative process?
Absolutely, yeah, because it's ideas. Someone makes something or has an idea and goes, "I think this should be there." It's something you would have never thought of.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the beauty of having several minds on something. And a cool thing is that we've been discussing is because we've been away for a while, there's no rules. Like we can have Adam in the room.
Adam
You know,
Levine
there's
watches.
no
Yeah.
rules. We can just do what we want, really, with it because nobody's expecting. Like, I don't think people know really what to expect, and if there'll be elements of this typical Shield sound, here and there as well. But you never like we don't really know what's coming out fully at the moment until we finish this thing, and it's so far it's just been like such an enjoyable process. So we're gonna keep doing it until we come up with something that we know is finished.
Mhm. There's an exciting
Sweet.
time. I want a bit of a deadline, but that's fine. Deadlines are healthy.
Gives you that target to work towards.
Yeah, it means you don't fuck around. It means you know how to get stuff done.
So we're going to come back to your perfect gigs. We're on to the sub headliner slot. Go with you then, Larry, first. You said you didn't want to go second.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Standard production for all of my choices. So I've gone for Biffy Clyro.
Excellent.
And again, I think they would go with my lineup I've chosen. There's not too many clangers because they're pretty damn heavy live, actually. Especially like the era that I got into them. And this is one of the bands that, other than Deftones, they're one of the bands I've seen the most live. I've probably seen them at least 7 or 8 times, I think. And I'm sure there's loads of people that's been like, oh, I've seen them 50 times or something. But for a man who hasn't got much money, I've seen them 8 times. And yeah, they're just like, again, they've got a big variety to their sound. They can be massive. They can be really, really, really melodic. They can just be like full on mental. And I think like Simon Neil's one of the most creative, inventive guitarists out there in modern rock music. I think a lot of people, again, people probably scoff at that, but I think he's a real special talent, that guy.
You see, I always try and make this argument. Like the 2 times they've been booked to headline Download, there's like the traditional like download goers in the comments on social media and stuff responding to the lineup being like, "Oh, they're not a rock band, they're a pop band." But I've always and others have always tried to push they're as much of a rock band as like any other headliner.
Yeah, for real. I've seen those same sort of comments for it, and it's really strange. I have to assume they haven't seen them. And like, yeah, in recent years they have gone a lot more sort of in at times they've gone more poppy for sure. But that's like a genuine transition for a band. I think Bring Me the Horizon get the
Yeah.
same thing thrown at them, don't they? But if you go and see them, it's going to blow your head off. That's if you don't like. I think people, especially metal people, can sometimes mistake heavy for like technical and all that sort of thing. It's actually heaviness is in delivery. It's not in the riff or the tuning or anything like that. It's delivery. And Biffy Clyro have always been amazing at dynamic delivery in heaviness. So
Very
it's
strong. Go on then,
Brilliant.
Joe.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. My main support is kind of like a dual headliner because I couldn't choose what I wanted, and I really wanted them to be a collaborative kind of production. So
Before you say anything, I'm judging by the look on Larry's face. I'm guessing this is one that he hasn't been told about.
he knows about this
Oh,
one.
he knows
Oh,
this one. Okay.
What thing is, from the beginning, Adam is in the room.
Adam's side stage
Yep.
and also front of house.
Talented man.
The sound engineer is Meshuggah's sound engineer and lighting
Okay.
guy. It's a production team.
All right.
And the main support is the war on drugs, and half of their set they're covering Meshuggah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they have to dress up like Meshuggah, and they have to pretend they're Meshuggah when they're not. And they have to they have to do a costume change every time they do a Meshuggah song, but
Or
got a
else.
costume change back to the war on drugs outfits. Otherwise, Adam Levine vomits.
He'll
Oh
leave
yeah,
the
he
room.
won't be a happy guy.
He's not going to be happy.
So then, with the costume changes, is it literally just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Yeah, they've been challenged to do it. Otherwise, they don't get their rider.
So it's just for your pure enjoyment for that.
Ride it after the set and not a minute before.
Yeah.
After the drummer's
Still
dead
got
from playing
yeah.
Bleed.
I've got to ask, where did the inspiration for that come from?
I don't know. I just thought it was really funny.
Okay, sick.
I was just like, I love both of those bands, but considering this is a hypothetical dream lineup, I can do anything I want.
To be fair, I'd like
Guys
to
that
see
did it.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, but they've got a team of, people who help them get. Actually, all the costumes are Velcroed, so it makes it easier to get in and out of them.
You've
But
thought of
Meshuggah,
everything.
Black Velcro t-shirts and then some black Velcro gloves to be Thomas
Don't
Hack,
forget the wigs as well.
and the wigs and the beards. Yeah, Velcro beards.
Or they have one of those curtains that like the quick change magic magicians have, where they do
They
like
got to do it in pitch
and then
black.
it's like, hey,
It's just there's loads of haze on stage, and they have to do it in pitch black.
That's where the lighting
Yeah.
guy comes in.
Yeah.
a bit more well.
Yeah, it doesn't like it at all.
You said Adam Levine's side stage. Is he helping them all with the costume changes as well? Is he ripping the Velcro off?
Adam Levine's getting ready to vomit on their instruments if they get it wrong.
Oh, he's there. He's
Like
there
a
as a threat.
He watches like a hawk with his SG in the background. He's
like-
ready to jump in.
It's taking its toll on me. Yeah.
I think
Incredible.
we need to try and get Adam Levine on the podcast now. I think
Adam Levine
Yeah, it's
also
got to
has
happen.
we'll
do
send this
best
to his people and then
impressions
we'll get him
throughout
on.
the whole set. And if he doesn't, then Meshuggah get his rider.
It's a busy time for Adam. He's really busy. He's in the room all the time.
So many rooms, so many rooms.
For a reason, man. He's
every
a
room.
talented guy.
Turns out to be famous. All you got to do is just be there in the room.
That's
Right.
it.
First key to
You've just
success.
got to turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they say. That's what Adam Levine says.
I've heard him say that before.
So to bring it away from the perfect gigs at the moment,
And from Adam Levine.
Adam Levine.
Why?
But like, what have you noticed in particular since returning? Like the landscape of kind of this heavy alternative scene has changed so much. What have been the key things, whether it be just very much in general, whether it be out on the road, on tours, music wise? What have been like the main changes, and how has that kind of helped you adapt in this kind of second run?
I mean, it certainly has changed. I mean, obviously, like as I mentioned the last time I spoke to you guys, I work in the live music industry, and I can see the changes there big time. You have to kind of change your strategy a lot, and I think a lot of bands are cottoning onto that with their merch games and stuff like that. A lot of bands change how they tour these days. You see a lot more people sort of like multitasking and stuff like that. You get a lot of bands that do all their own designs, and like the production is pretty much. I know bands that like they'll program all their own lights. Like Joe programmed all our lights for our Bury Me video, and stuff like that. And like a lot of people are multitasking, learning new skills for sure. That's definitely one thing I've noticed. Instead of getting someone else to come in, and all that, which is, and that's good. But at the same time, that also, you could argue that puts pressure on the live music industry with crew members and things like that. I think there's a lot of people who are like touring professionals who aren't in bands, who make a living off of touring, and who perhaps find it harder to find work now as well. Maybe, because of that, you got to get better and sharper and a lot more streamlined these days for sure to survive.
I think for me, I've seen more people turning up to shows. In fact, I've seen younger people coming to our shows than we did do when we were playing 5 years ago, which is really, really encouraging because it's the kind of age that we were when we started going to shows. We had kids of like 13, 14 come to our shows that we were doing on tour with Dan Is Okay, who were coming to see us. That was really amazing to see. That was one of my favorite bits about touring with them because or just that tour in general. Mainly because I know that they're gonna go away and they're gonna start their own bands and they're gonna do something completely different that we can't even comprehend at this point. They're on the edge of a music scene that's like kind of exploding at the moment. I think heavy music has had a big resurgence and younger kids are getting into it via, I don't know, maybe TikTok or Instagram or whatever they're using these days, those kids. And to be honest, it was just reminded me of being so inspired as a young person, going to gigs and then going and writing stuff that, may not have been that good, but it built the foundations for the kind of stuff I write now. And some of these kids will be better than us in a big way that would come to those shows. We
Certainly
have no
better than
idea
me.
who's going to be at them and who's going to be doing what in 10 years' time. But, it's the kind of informative experiences you have as a teenager that, build you as an adult. It was amazing to be part of that.
Suppose that's reassuring for yourselves as well, like having kids that young at your shows now, like knowing that they wouldn't have been fans sort of when you were first around. They're kind of a new audience for you, so you're not only appealing to the people that were stuck around and are happy that you've come back, you're appealing to a new audience as well.
Absolutely. They'd have been like 8, 9 years old when we were playing before. Like they're what, 13, 14 now. It's also amazing. It means it shows that the scene is continuing. This genre of music and heavy music is just like continuing on. It's just nice to see it's not dying out. Not that I ever thought it was, but it's just great to see that continuum. Yeah.
Striving.
We touched on it briefly earlier, but you guys are playing Takedown Festival later this year, and you're playing an acoustic set as well in the VIP area. Have you guys
Yeah.
sort of had a think or made any preparations about sort of playing a more stripped back kind of set?
I think we started to piece that together. We've got some really cool ideas that are going to be. We want to make it as special as possible because that is quite an unusual thing. We've as a band, to my knowledge, I might be corrected on this. We've only done one acoustic set before, and that was only because when we turned up at the gig, there was no PA system. The show went on and we sorted that out and did that off the cuff. But this time we've got time to actually plan it, and it's going to be really cool. I think there's something really cool about seeing a band that is usually, blow your head off heavy, translate that. And actually I think our songs translate really well to acoustic as well, to be honest. Like Joe's done solo music before on his own as an acoustic player as well anyway. And I think it's like we're very lucky. I'm gonna blow smoke up my vocalists behinds with this one. I feel very lucky that we have two vocalists who can blow your head off with a scream, but can also sing you sweet, sweet lullabies at the same time. We're very, very blessed with that, I think. So
I call Larry up every night and I sing him to sleep.
yeah,
Just lullabies.
for when Adam just can't get it done.
Exactly.
When
When he's
Yeah.
not in the room.
he's on vocal rest, I take the flame and I sing Larry to sleep.
Yeah, so we're really excited to do that at Takedown. There's loads of really cool acoustic sets going on through the whole weekend as well, and it's something that Takedown likes to, I think it's something that is quite unique for a festival to offer. To be honest, you don't really get that often, to my knowledge.
No, 100%. I think like seeing it last year and kind of just dipping out between all the different areas and then all of a sudden turning a corner without properly looking at the schedule and just seeing Skindred there doing an acoustic set. And then I'm just standing there watching it. So much variety kind of going on throughout it. I think it is very unique and very different. I think it just helps make Takedown stand out and just be so much more strong.
I call it value for money, and I think it's
Definitely. I mean, for an upgrade, it's pretty affordable as well. I can't remember how much the pricing for it is this year, but last year is really well worth the money, I think.
Name another festival where you can get that close to a band that you've loved. Do you know what I mean? And hear
Exactly.
this song in a way that you've probably never heard it before. It's gonna be really, really cool.
Right then. So we've had all your three bands so far. We'll come back to you, Larry, to start off again. Who is your headliner for your perfect gig?
Okay, right. I've chosen Deftones, and they can be a bit hit and miss live. I hope they don't hear me say that. because I'll be devastated if I've upset them. But they can be a bit hit and miss. I've seen them a ton of times. It's about 50-50 how if they're awful or amazing.
Mm.
But I'll take that risk every day. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful band. I wouldn't be in music without them, and they are definitely a headliner for me all day long.
How'd you first discover them?
So I came across them on a compilation CD for The Matrix. And it's actually the first Deftones song was the first song I ever played live, actually, which is my own summer. I played it in front of my school with a band, and we were very under rehearsed. And it was, but it was the only heavy song. Everyone else was doing like Nirvana songs and stuff like that, or Chili Peppers songs. And then we came in with Deftones, and nobody knew it was Deftones because we didn't sound like it at all. But in our heads, we sounded like the Deftones. And yeah, I've always got a special place for Deftones. All my tattoos are Deftones tattoos and stuff. You know, I just love them to bits. I hope they
Do you
love
want to
me.
like try and hop on with a feature for them, take over, have a little bit of a jam with them?
Yeah, you know, they've been asking me to, but I'm just so busy. It's really difficult. I've got a full-time job as a as an Adam Levine. You know, I move him around different rooms. You
Yeah,
know, his legs give out, so I have to carry him into different rooms, and
I can imagine it takes up a lot of your time.
that's the only reason I haven't been on stage with Deftones. That's
Mm.
the only reason.
If
So
you
maybe
were to
one
go on
day.
stage with Deftones, what song would you go on with?
I would love to have a good old scream to Hexagram from their self-titled, which is my favorite album, their biggest and best album in my opinion.
Would you want them to play that in full at all?
Oh man, dude, it'd be amazing. Sadly, they barely play any songs from it these days, only a couple of them, but they've got a lot of albums. That's the problem when you get the same for Radiohead, I imagine. How do you pick a set list when you've got that many albums and all that time? But
I guess you just don't. I guess you just don't. You know,
Yeah.
they just don't play anymore, do they?
you just, yeah. You,
Well, they've just started a whole new band
Yeah.
instead, haven't they?
Band, yeah, they're like, well, there's too many songs. Let's start something else.
Yeah, man. Yeah. There's something really cool about a Deftones gig. If you ever get a chance to see them live, please do it because it's about more than just like blowing your head off. They're really atmospheric and just a beautiful band in general.
Right then, Joe, who's capping off your gig?
My sugar.
Co-
So with
covering the war on covering the war on drugs.
best metal band I've ever seen ever. Hands down, 100%. Like the most immersive, insane, and the safest mosh pit I've ever been in. Yet so just like intense as well. Yeah. I
Interesting.
remember when Demios came on, they didn't actually play Bleed when I saw them, and I didn't mind that too much. Because I think they've got better songs, although I do love Bleed. But when Demios came on, I literally just grabbed the guy's shoulders in front of me and was just like jumping up on him like that.
He loved that.
But it seemed chill. I don't know. I was inebriated, so that
Yep.
might have made it better. But
So when you say it was a safe mosh pit, not necessarily it was safe for you, but not necessarily for everyone else around you.
I had my shirt off. The shirt came straight off in the first 5 seconds. I was just like, and then we went away. But they're also half of their set is covering Maroon 5.
Yes. That
And,
yeah, we need that.
Adam Levine has taken a break from side stage.
hmm
Larry's carried him to his dressing room.
Larry's brought him in.
Larry's having the overcooked pasta. Josh Homme has taken over for Adam Levine. Because Josh Homme is Levine's butler.
All right.
Like,
That's
how,
news.
Little
know
known
how,
fact. Not many people know that.
No,
like
that's
no.
never heard of that.
Is that an exclusive?
no, it's like Batman and Jeans. What's his name?
Alfred.
Alfred.
Batman
I was
Alfred.
gonna call him Arnold for a second.
The defunct online search engine.
No, I changed it. It's not Josh Homme, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Incredible.
Our mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, who watches and judges how good Meshuggah are doing of covering Maroon 5, and they also have to have the intense costume changes.
Incredible. Any other specifics of the set song wise?
Oh, they're playing all of Kloss, and they're playing a bunch of stuff from Immutable as well. I love the new album.
Simultaneously.
Yeah,
Perfect.
simultaneously. Yeah.
These are
Challenge.
sounding like perfect gigs, or at least
It's-
very unique gigs.
Yeah.
The only set that you really get to enjoy is as everything unfolds.
From
All
then
the
on,
other
it's
ones,
just very
like I
interesting.
can't. I'm just here for the ride.
So we're right at the start of the year right now. We've got the whole of 2024 ahead of us pretty much. What are your expectations and hopes for the end of the year? What would be a successful year for Shields in your eyes?
Well, the way I'm viewing this year is as a foundational building year. We're basically building the foundations and strengthening them. We're building the foundations that are going to support us in 2025. We have like a lot of plans for touring and releasing more music and more just everything of what we want to be doing. So the idea is that if we build the right foundations this year, we solidify those, then that will support us in a way that allows us to continue with our lives because that's what we didn't have before. We're touring like 6 months of the year when we were playing in Shields 5, 6 years ago, but allows us to do this band that we're all very passionate about. So if we manage to do that, that will be my main achievement for this year, and that paired with releasing the best of the music that we've been writing, in whatever shape or form that takes on. We'll have to see, but yeah, I think if we get that right, then it'll be a good year, 2025.
So just before we conclude and wrap up with perfect gigs, just going to throw you one more question with it. These gigs, what venue would you like them to take place in?
The Underworld.
Yes, that genuinely, that is my favorite venue to go to.
Yeah.
I love that place.
I'm now thinking about the logistics for Radiohead stage though. Are they just going to sort of be around that pillar in the middle,
Yeah, no, they're
or
gonna
sort of
put
hanging off
little,
the pillar?
they're gonna put some little ledges on the pillar, like a cat apparatus.
With a little
And
scratching post at the bottom for Tom.
Radiohead and their string orchestra have to sit on the pillar.
Larry, where's yours taking place?
It's going to be in my kitchen.
I love that.
Yeah, very exclusive. Despite me saying everyone should check them out, it's only going to be room for like 12 people.
Is Adam Levine there?
Oh yeah, it'd be in my kitchen because I have seen a video of the Chariots, another rest in peace legendary band, playing in somebody's like living room in Australia, I think. And it's just mental. And for once, I would like to be cool enough to be at one of them gigs. I've never been there before in one of those things, and I want to be at one. So it's going to be my own house.
I always think about that. We don't really have like a basement show culture in the UK like the US has. So
Yeah,
maybe
man.
that's the solution.
In your kitchen.
Like,
Stick him in the
like,
kitchen.
I remember seeing early shots of like Beartooth when they started out, literally playing people's like backyards and stuff. And the same for like Attila and all those bands. I've never done a cool. I always thought they were so cool. I would love to play a place like that. Do you know what I mean? I want to play Denny's. I want to play Denny's.
To summarize, Joe, we've got As Everything Unfolds, Radiohead with a stage in the middle of the room, The War on Drugs covering Meshuggah for half of the set, and Adam Levine might leave or throw up on them and do other horrible things to them. We've got then Meshuggah covering Maroon 5 for half the set, all taking place in the underworld. Are you happy with what you've created there?
Yeah, I think it's feasible.
Yeah.
And then Larry, we've got Alkaline Trio, Every Time I Die, Biffy Clyro, and Deftones in your own kitchen.
Yeah, man.
That means you're like home straight off. There's no like curfew for you as well. You're just already home.
No one can stop you apart from the police. Maybe.
And maybe they'll come and do a set.
Yeah. And if my landlord
Excellent.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in particular at Takedown Festival and for what the rest of 2024 is in store for you. And very intrigued to hear new music. So
Thank you so much for your time. It's been
thank you
really
very
a
much,
pleasure.
boys.
Thank you. And we'll let everyone in the comments decide who's won out of the two of you there. We'll keep an eye on those and let you know.
Oh,
Thanks
no,
for having
I'm conceding to Joe, man. His gig's so much better.
No, man, a kitchen gig's pretty cool.
Incredible. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. See you soon.
See ya.
Cheers.
Some interesting gigs there.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else is going to pick anything to match that.
No,
Very, very unique stuff.
never thought about a kitchen before.
Never thought about the kitchen.
It's a good idea.
Never thought about the kitchen.
Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We're about to start leading up towards festival season. It's coming thick and fast. So subscribe, stay up to date with all the content, and get ready for the summer.
And who do you want to see us chat to next? Whose perfect gig do you want to hear? Let us know in the comments and let your favourite bands know on social media.